The alarm bells rang through every corridor of Kepler Station. Red lights flashed on the walls as people ran to find safety. Children cried as their parents carried them toward the emergency shelters deep inside the mining station. Commander Lisa. Park stood in the control room looking at the screen that showed space around their small outpost. What she saw made her stomach twist with fear. Hundreds of alien ships surrounded them like hungry wolves around a campfire. The Zephyrian fleet stretched as far as the sensors could reach. How many ships do they have? She asked her communications officer. 300, Commander. Maybe more. Our computers stopped counting after that. Lisa closed her eyes for a moment. Kepler Station was home to 30,000 people. Most of them were miners, engineers, and their families. They had come here to dig precious metals from the asteroids. Around the dead planet below. They'd never expected war to find them in this remote corner of space. The station's defense fleet was laughably small. 12 old frigates that had seen better days. Their weapons were outdated, their shields weak. Against 300 Zephyrian warships, they might as well throw rocks. Commander, we're getting a message from the alien flagship, said the communications. Officer put it on screen. The main display flickered, and the face of a Zephyrian commander appeared. The alien looked like a giant insect with 4 eyes and mandibles that clicked when it spoke. Its skin was dark green and covered in small scales. I am Commander Thexara of the Zephyrian Collective, the alien said in broken human language. Your station is now surrounded. Your defenses are weak. Your people will surrender or they will die. Lisa stepped forward, trying to keep her voice steady. This is Commander Park of Kepler Station. We are a civilian mining operation. We have families here, children. What do you want from us? Xara, S. Mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. We want your workers. We want your technology. We want your station. You have 1 hour to surrender. After that, we will take what we want from the wreckage. The screen went black. Lisa stared at the empty display, feeling the weight of 30,000 lives on her shoulders. She turned to her tactical officer. Send a distress call to Earth. Fleet Command. Tell them we need immediate assistance. Already done, Commander. But the nearest fleet is 3 weeks away, even at maximum speed. 3 weeks, they had 1 hour. Lisa felt her hands shake as she realized the hopelessness of their situation. The Zephyrians had planned this attack well. They had waited until the human military was far away before striking at this isolated outpost. Around the control room, her officers worked at their stations with grim determination. They all knew the odds. They all knew what was coming. They kept working anyway, because that's what humans did when facing impossible situations. Commander, the civilian transports are asking if they should try to run, said another officer. Lisa shook her head. The Zephyrian ships are too fast. They'd be caught before they cleared the asteroid field. Tell all civilians to get to the emergency shelters. Seal the blast doors. She looked at the tactical display again. The Zephyrian fleet had arranged itself in a perfect sphere around the station. Every escape route was blocked. Their ships were massive, each one 3 times larger than the station's biggest frigate. Dark metal hulls bristled with weapons that could crack a moon in half. What about our defense fleet? Asked the tactical officer. Have them form a defensive line between the station and the largest group of enemy ships. It won't last long. But every minute they buy us is another minute our people have to reach safety. Through the thick windows of the control room, Lisa could see the 12 human frigates moving into position. They looked like toys compared to the alien warships, but their crews were brave. They would fight to the last breath to protect the families on the station. The minutes ticked by slowly. Lisa watched the countdown timer on her screen. 50 minutes left. 45. 40. Commander, we're detecting movement in the Zephyrian fleet. They're repositioning for attack formation. Lisa's heart sank. It looked like the aliens weren't even going to wait the full hour. She opened a channel to the entire station. This is Commander Park. All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Her voice echoed through the corridors where families huddled in reinforced shelters. In the mining tunnels where workers had stopped their digging to pray. In the schools where teachers held children close and told them everything would be okay. Commander. The sensor operator's voice was excited. I'm detecting a new contact. Single ship emerging from hyperspace. Lisa looked at the display. Small dot appeared at the edge of their sensor range. One ship moving toward them through the darkness of space. Can you identify it? Negative, Commander. The design is unknown. Energy signatures ... strange. I've never seen readings like this. On the main screen, the alien commander Dexera appeared again. His four eyes glittered. With amusement, your reinforcements have arrived, human. One ship against 300. How touching. Your people will watch as we destroy your pathetic rescue attempt before we claim your station. But something in the alien's voice had changed. There was uncertainty there, hidden beneath the confidence. Lisa leaned forward, studying the tactical display as the unknown ship drew closer. What are you? She whispered, staring at the approaching vessel that might be their only hope for survival. The unknown ship moved through space like nothing Lisa had ever seen before. It was not very large, about the same size as a Zephyrian battlecruiser, but everything else about it was different. The hull was dark gray with strange patterns that seemed to flow like water across its surface. Sharp angles cut through curves in ways that made her eyes hurt to follow. Commander, I'm getting clearer readings on that ship, said the sensor operator. His voice was confused. Used to build it. It's not in our database. Those energy readings are off the charts. Lisa stared at the vessel on the main screen, moved with purpose, heading straight toward the center of the Zephyrian fleet. No normal captain would do something so crazy. 300 enemy ships waited there, all with weapons ready to fire. On the Zephyrian flagship, Commander Dexera studied the approaching vessel with his four eyes. Something about it made him uncomfortable, though he could not say why. The ship's design was alien even to him, and the Zephyrians had fought wars across half the galaxy. What race built that ship? He asked his science officer. Unknown, Commander. The materials are unlike anything we have encountered. The energy signature suggests technology far beyond what these humans should possess. Dexera's mandibles clicked with annoyance. Humans were supposed to be a young race with simple weapons and slow ships. This vessel looked like it belonged to an advanced civilization that had mastered technologies the Zephyrians barely understood. No matter, he said finally. One ship cannot stand against our entire fleet. Prepare to destroy it. Inside the strange ship, Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair and watched the tactical display. Hair and calm brown eyes. She had seen many battles, but never one where the odds were quite this bad. Captain, we have 30,000 civilians on that station, said her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez. The Zephyrian fleet has them completely surrounded. Sarah nodded. She had read the reports about Zephyrian tactics. Liked to attack isolated targets where no help could arrive in time. They would take the workers as slaves and strip the station of anything valuable. Anyone who resisted would be killed. Open a channel to the Zephyrian flagship, she ordered. The communications officer worked at his station. Channel open, Captain. Sarah stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. Round her, the strange patterns on the walls pulsed with soft blue light. The ship itself seemed alive, responding to her presence. This is Captain Chen of the United Earth ship Prometheus. You are ordered to withdraw immediately from human space. On the Zephyrian flagship, Dexera stared at the transmission. In disbelief, a single human ship was ordering his entire fleet to retreat. The idea was so ridiculous that he almost laughed. Human captain, he said, his voice full of amusement. You pilot one ship against 300 of mine? Your weapons are primitive. Your shields are weak. Surrender now, and I will grant you a quick death. Refuse, and I will let my warriors play with you before they finish the job. Sarah's expression did not change. She had expected this response. The Zephyrians were known for their pride and their cruelty. They would not back down from what they saw as an easy victory. Commander Dexera, she said, reading his name from her tactical display. You have made a mistake. You think you know what human technology can do? You think our ships are weak and our weapons are simple? You are wrong. Dexera's four eyes narrowed. There was something in the human captain's voice that bothered him. She spoke with the confidence of someone who held all the advantages, not someone facing impossible odds. Prove it, he snarled. Sarah smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. I was hoping you would say that. She turned to her crew. The bridge of the Prometheus was unlike any human ship that had come before it. The walls were covered in geometric patterns that shifted and flowed like living things. Control panels seemed to grow from the floor itself, and the air hummed with barely contained energy. Tactical. Prepare for demonstration. Weapon systems to standby. Power core to 20%. 20%, Captain? Rodriguez looked surprised. For one demonstration, trust me, Lieutenant Commander, 20% will be more than enough. On Kepler Station, Commander Park watched the exchange between the two ships with growing hope and fear. The human captain sounded confident, but confidence meant nothing against 300 enemy warships. Commander, the unknown ship is changing, reported the sensor operator. Those patterns on its hull are glowing brighter, and I'm detecting massive energy buildups inside the vessel. Lisa leaned forward to study the readings. The numbers on her screen made no sense. The amount of power the ship was generating was impossible for something its size. It was like watching a firefly produce the energy of a star. Dexera was seeing the same readings on his own sensors. His science officer worked frantically at his station, trying to understand what the human ship was doing. Commander, their power output is increasing exponentially. This should not be possible with their technology level. What are they powering up? Dexara demanded. Unknown, sir. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our database. Whatever. They are doing it requires more power than our entire fleet produces combined. Dexera felt a chill run down his spine. He had conquered dozens of worlds and faced the weapons of 100 different races. But he had never seen energy readings like these. The human ship was generating enough power to destroy a small moon. All ships, attack formation, he ordered. Destroy that vessel before it can complete whatever it is doing. Sarah heard the order through the open communication channel. She nodded to her tactical officer. Demonstration time, Rodriguez. Then what the Prometheus can do, Captain, targeting 50 ships from their advanced formation. Weapons locked and ready. Fire. The moment Captain Chen gave the order to fire, space itself seemed to change around the Prometheus. The geometric patterns on the ship's hull blazed with brilliant white light. Energy crackled along its surface like lightning during a storm. The very fabric of reality appeared to bend and twist around the human vessel. Commander Dexara watched from his flagship as 50 of his best warships moved to attack the lone human ship. These were not small patrol boats. Each one was a massive battle cruiser with enough firepower to level a city. Their weapons charged up, ready to turn the strange human vessel into space dust. Fire all weapons, Dexara ordered. But before the Zephyrian ships could shoot, something impossible happened. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the Prometheus. But these were not normal weapons. The energy looked wrong somehow, like it was made of twisted space and compressed starlight. Where the beams touched the Zephyrian ships, reality seemed to unravel. The first ship simply disappeared. One moment. It was there, a massive warship bristling with weapons. The next moment, there was nothing but empty space and a brief flash of light. No explosion, no debris. The ship had been erased from existence as if it had never been built. What just happened? Dexara shouted at his science officer. I don't know, Commander. The ship just stopped existing. Our sensors show no wreckage, no energy signature. It's just gone. Another beam struck a second Zephyrian vessel. This time Dexara watched more carefully. The energy beam hit the ship's shields, but instead of bouncing off or burning through them, it seemed to eat them. The shields vanished. Then the hull vanished. Then the entire ship turned into a cloud of glowing particles that faded away like morning mist. One by one, the 50 attacking ships disappeared. Each beam from the Prometheus lasted only a fraction of a second. Each ship died without firing. A single shot. In less than 10 seconds, 50 of the most powerful warships in the Zephyrian fleet had been reduced to nothing. On Kepler Station, Commander Park and her crew watched in stunned silence. The tactical display showed 50 red dots vanishing from the screen as if someone had erased them with a cloth. Commander, are you seeing this? Whispered the sensor operator. Lisa could only nod. Her mouth was too dry to speak. She had expected the unknown ship to fight bravely before being destroyed. She had never imagined anything like this. The human vessel had just deleted 50 enemy ships from reality. What kind of weapons are those? Asked the tactical officer. I don't know, Lisa managed to say. I don't think anyone knows. On the Prometheus, Captain Chen watched the results of their attack with calm satisfaction. Around her, the bridge crew worked at their stations as if erasing 50 enemy ships was just another day at the office. Demonstration complete, Captain, reported Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez. All 50 targets eliminated. No return fire. Detected. Good, Sarah said. Open a channel to the Zephyrian flagship again. The communication officer nodded. Channel open. Sarah walked to the center of the bridge. The patterns on the walls had dimmed back to their normal soft glow, but energy still hummed through the ship like the purr of a sleeping giant. Commander Vexera, did you enjoy our little demonstration? On the Zephyrian flagship, Vexera stared. At the human captain, with all 4 of his eyes, his mandibles clicked nervously. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen weapons like these. His fleet had faced plasma cannons, particle beams, even antimatter torpedoes. But this was something beyond his understanding. What did you do to my ships? He demanded. Sarah smiled. We showed you what happens when humans perfect technology that other races only dream about. Those beams weren't just weapons, Commander. They were controlled tears in space-time itself. Our ships didn't explode. They were converted directly into energy and dispersed across several dimensions. The Zara science officer was frantically working at his station, trying to understand the readings from the attack. Commander, the energy signatures suggest they're manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe. This should not be possible. Anything is possible when you understand the science behind it, Sarah continued. The Zephyrians have been using basic energy weapons for centuries. You've never learned to go deeper. Humans have been studying your technology for only 3 years, and we've already surpassed everything you thought you knew. The remaining Zephyrian fleet hung in space, unsure what to do. The captains of the other ships were calling Nexara, asking for orders. But what orders could he give? How do you fight an enemy that can erase your ships from existence? You're bluffing, Zexara said finally. No race has that kind of power. If you did, you would rule the galaxy. Sarah's smile grew wider. Says we don't plan to? The universe is about to learn something new about humanity, Commander. We don't just adapt to the technologies we encounter, we perfect them. We take what others consider impossible and make it look easy. She paused, letting her words sink in. The weapons we just used consume almost no power. We could erase your entire fleet without even straining our engines. But we're feeling generous today, so I'm going to give you one chance to save the lives of your crews. Vexara felt fear crawling up his spine like a cold spider. In all his conquests, he had been the one with superior technology. He had been the one who offered mercy to weaker enemies. Now he was on the other side, facing weapons that made his fleet look like Stone Age spears. What do you want? He asked. Simple. Sarah replied, You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawing your fleet from this system. Any ship that hasn't started moving by then will join the 50 that we just erased. And Commander, if any Zephyrian ship ever threatens human civilians again, we won't be so merciful next time. The countdown began. 30 seconds to save 250 ships and their crews. Dexara looked at his tactical display, then at the human ship that had just demonstrated power beyond his comprehension, for the first time in his military career. The great Commander Dexara gave the order to retreat. The 30-second countdown felt like 30 hours to Commander Dexara. He stared at his tactical display, watching the human ship hang motionless in space. The Prometheus looked peaceful now, its strange hull patterns glowing softly. Had seen what those gentle lights could do. 50 of his ships had simply stopped existing. Commander, what are your orders? Asked his second-in-command, a young officer named Krelith. The younger Zephyrian's voice shook with barely controlled fear. Dexara's mandibles clicked as he thought. His entire career had been built on conquering weaker races. He had destroyed fleets, captured planets, enslaved entire populations. He had never faced anything like this. The humans had technology that defied everything he thought he knew about the universe. 20 seconds remaining, came the calm voice of the human captain through the communication channel. "Sir, we must decide," urged Krelith. "The fleet is waiting for orders." Dexera looked at his remaining ships. 250 powerful warships. Each one represented years of construction and thousands of crew members. Each one was a symbol of Zephyrian might across the galaxy. Could he really order them all to retreat from a single human vessel? 15 seconds. The pride of a lifetime warrior warred with the cold logic of survival. Vexera had not lived this long by making stupid decisions. And attacking that human ship would be the stupidest decision of his life. 10 seconds. On Kepler Station, Commander, Park watched the standoff with her heart pounding. The fate of 30,000 civilians hung in the balance. If the Zephyrian commander chose to fight instead of flee, the human ship might not be able to protect them all. 5 seconds. Dexera made his choice. All ships begin withdrawal. Course heading 0-7-Mark-4. We are leaving this system. The relief on his bridge was obvious. His officers immediately began relaying the retreat order to the rest of the fleet. Across the formation, Zephyrian ships started to turn away from Kepler Station. But Captain Chen was not finished with her demonstration. "Belay that order, Commander." Her voice cut through the communication channel like a knife. "I said you had 30 seconds to begin withdrawing, but I want to make sure you understand exactly what you're retreating from." On the Prometheus, Sarah turned to her tactical officer. "Rodriguez, prepare the gravity lance. Why don't show our friends what real power looks like?" Rodriguez's eyes widened. "Captain, are you sure? Gravity lance has never been tested in combat conditions." "Consider this the field test," Sarah replied. "Target an empty section of space between their fleet and the asteroid field. Minimum power setting, aye, Captain?" Targeting coordinates locked. The patterns on the Prometheus began to change. Instead of the flowing geometric designs, new shapes appeared on the hull. They looked like spirals within spirals, each one spinning faster than the eye could follow. The ship itself began to emit a low humming sound that seemed to vibrate through space itself. On the Zephyrian flagship, every sensor alarm began screaming at once. Krelith stared at his instruments in horror. "Commander, they're generating a gravity field. The energy output is ... It's impossible. They're creating the equivalent of a small star." Dexera felt his blood turn to ice. "What are they doing?" "Unknown, sir. But the gravitational distortions are off our charts. Whatever they're building, it's warping space itself." Sarah's voice came through the communication channel again, still perfectly calm. "Commander Thesara, you and your people have been using basic energy weapons for centuries. You think you understand power? Let me show you what happens when humans take the fundamental forces of nature and make them into tools." A humming from the Prometheus grew louder. Space around the ship began to visibly distort, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Stars in the background appeared to bend and stretch as gravity itself was twisted into new shapes. "Gravity lance ready, Captain," reported Rodriguez. "Fire." A beam of pure gravitational force lanced out from the Prometheus. But this was not the clean energy beams that had destroyed the 50 ships. This was something far more terrifying. Beams struck empty space and began to pull matter toward it. Asteroids from the nearby field started to move, drawn by an irresistible force. Then the beam intensified. The empty space began to collapse in on itself. A tiny black hole formed, no bigger than a marble, but with the gravitational pull of a moon. Asteroids accelerated toward it, stretching and distorting as they approached the event horizon. Rock and metal were compressed into a single point of infinite density. The black hole lasted only 3 seconds. Then Sarah ordered it dispersed. The gravitational field collapsed, and the tiny singularity evaporated in a flash of exotic radiation. But the message was clear. The humans could create and control black holes. "By the ancient gods," whispered Dexera, "they can manipulate gravity itself." Krelith was frantically taking readings. "Commander, the energy required to create that gravitational anomaly would power our entire fleet for a year." "And they did it like it was nothing," Sarah's voice filled. "The communication channel one final time, Commander? That was a demonstration at minimum power. We could have created a black hole large enough to swallow your entire fleet. We could have collapsed this entire star system into a point of darkness. But we didn't, because we're not like you. Don't kill unless we have to." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "But make no mistake, if you or any other Zephyrian force threatens human civilians again, we won't be so gentle. The next time, we'll show you what our weapons can do at full power." The communication channel went silent. The Prometheus hung in space, its hull patterns returning to their normal gentle glow. But everyone who had witnessed the demonstration knew they had seen something that changed everything. Dexara stared at the human ship with new understanding. This was not just advanced technology. This was power beyond imagination. The humans had not just built better weapons, they had learned to control the fundamental forces that held the universe together. "All ships, maximum speed withdrawal," he ordered. "Emergency jump to hyperspace as soon as we clear the gravity well." As the Zephyrian fleet fled into the darkness, Dexara realized that the balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted forever. The humans were no longer a primitive race to be conquered. They had become something far more dangerous. They had become gods of physics itself. The Zephyrian fleet disappeared into hyperspace, like frightened animals running from a predator. Commander Vexara's proud armada, which had conquered dozens of worlds, fled from a single human ship without firing another shot. The space around Kepler Station became quiet again, filled only with the gentle light of distant stars. Captain Sarah Chen watched the last enemy ship vanish from her sensors. She felt no joy in the victory. There had been no real battle, no test of skill or courage. The Prometheus had simply demonstrated that humans now possessed technology that made the Zephyrian fleet obsolete. "All enemy contacts have jumped to hyperspace, Captain," reported Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez. "They're gone." "Good," Sarah replied. "Open a channel to Kepler Station." On the mining station, Commander Lisa Park stared at her tactical display. In disbelief, the screen that had shown 300 enemy ships now showed only empty space and the lone human vessel. She had prepared herself and her people for death. Instead, they had witnessed something that would change their understanding of the universe forever. "This is Captain Chen of the UES Prometheus," came the calm voice through the communication system. "Kepler Station, please respond." Lisa found her voice. "This is Commander Park. Captain, we don't know how to thank you. What you just did." "How is it possible?" Sarah's image appeared on the main screen. She was a small woman with kind eyes, but Lisa could see the weight of enormous responsibility in her expression. This was someone who carried the power of gods in her ship. "Commander Park, are there any casualties on your station?" "No, Captain. Thanks to you, everyone is safe. But I have to ask, ... What kind of ship are you flying? That technology? It's beyond anything we've seen." Sarah nodded slowly. "The Prometheus is humanity's first zero-point energy manipulation vessel. We've learned to harness the power that exists in empty space itself. Every cubic centimeter of vacuum contains enough energy to boil away Earth's oceans. We've simply learned how to use it." Lisa's scientific mind struggled to understand the implications. Zero-point energy? But that's theoretical. No one has ever been able to tap into vacuum energy. It's no one except humans, Sarah corrected gently. "We have a talent for taking impossible theories and making them work. 3 years ago, we captured a Zephyrian research ship. They had been studying zero-point fields for centuries but never understood the key principles. It took us 6 months to figure out what they had missed." Around the bridge of Kepler Station, Lisa's officers listened. In amazement, the idea that humans had not just matched alien technology but surpassed it seemed impossible, yet they had seen the proof with their own eyes. "Captain, will there be more ships like yours?" Lisa asked. Sarah's smile was both reassuring and terrifying. "The Prometheus is the first of 12 vessels in her class. By the end of the year, Earth will have a fleet that can protect every human colony, no matter how remote. The age of running and hiding from alien raiders is over." She paused, her expression becoming more serious. But that's not the real change, Commander. The real change is what this means for humanity's place in the galaxy. For too long, we've been seen as a young race with primitive technology. Today's that perception ended. On the Prometheus, Sarah turned to her communications officer. Send a message to Earth Fleet Command. Priority Alpha encryption. Channel open, Captain. Sarah began her report to Earth's military leadership. Admiral Harrison, this is Captain Chen reporting from the Kepler system. Field trials of the Prometheus-class weapons systems are complete. Results exceeded all expectations. She looked at the tactical display showing the empty space where the Zephyrian fleet had been. The enemy force consisted of approximately 300 heavy warships. Total enemy casualties? 50 ships destroyed in the initial engagement. Remaining forces withdrew after a demonstration of our gravity manipulation capabilities. Sarah's voice carried the weight of history. Sir, I recommend immediate deployment of the remaining Prometheus-class vessels. The galaxy needs to understand that humanity is no longer a target. We are now the apex predator. The message would take weeks to reach Earth, but Sarah knew what the response would be. The military leaders who had spent years planning defensive strategies would now have to think in terms of offense. The balance of power had shifted, and humanity was now the dominant force. Captain Rodriguez interrupted her thoughts. We're receiving multiple communications from other human colonies. Word of what happened here is spreading fast. Sarah nodded. News traveled quickly in space, especially news as dramatic. Within days, every human settlement would know that the Prometheus had faced down an entire Zephyrian fleet and won. Within weeks, every alien government would be reassessing their relationship with humanity. What are your orders, Captain? Asked the navigation officer. Sarah considered the question. The Prometheus had been conducting routine patrol and testing when they received Kepler Station's distress call. Now their mission had expanded far beyond simple trials of new technology. Set course for the Tau Ceti colonies, she decided. If the Zephyrians were bold enough to attack Kepler, they might have targeted other isolated human settlements. We need to make sure our people are safe. As the Prometheus turned toward its new heading, Sarah reflected on what had just happened. Humanity had crossed a line today. They were no longer the scrappy underdogs fighting for survival against superior alien civilizations. They had become something new, something that other races would fear and respect. The geometric patterns on the ships. Hull pulsed gently as the vessel prepared to jump to hyperspace. In a few hours, they would be protecting another human colony. In a few months, the galaxy would understand that attacking humans carried consequences beyond imagination. Jump drive ready, Captain, reported the navigation officer. Engage, Sarah ordered. The Prometheus disappeared from the Kepler system, leaving behind only the grateful survivors on the mining station and the knowledge that everything had changed. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as protectors of their own people and masters of forces that other races could barely comprehend. The age of human expansion had begun. And the universe would never be the same.